Hi everyone, this is Kathy Grosskirth with Bookkeeping Clean and Simple, and today is week 7 and the final video of my series on QuickBooks Recertification is Here What You Need to Know. Today we are going to be providing an overview of the what's new in the Advanced Skills section for the Advanced Recertification exam. And as you can see, we are in our training hub in the training library. Here's the Advanced Skills area. Now before I jump into this, I want to make sure that you understand that we do have all the links to the previous videos pretty much covering this intermediate section in the description. And if you like what you see here, and if you've watched any of my other videos and haven't subscribed yet, please go ahead and do so. Like this video as well and share this with others. That'll help me in getting my rankings up for monetization. That's one of my goals. So anyway, I would hope you would help me out in that regard. And with that said, I want to make sure that we talk about the test itself and what you need to know. And also, before I get into that, I want to let you know that this video might be a little bit longer than normal just because of what we're covering today. So keep that in mind and just understand that when I go through the advanced skills, I'm probably not going to go into everything specifically. But what I do want to share with you, these are real important things that you need to know. First of all, if you're taking the advanced skills test, you have to take both of these sections right here. And you have to pass both of these sections right here in order to retain your advanced certification. However, if you fail to pass this portion, but you do pass this portion, you do get to keep your basic certification. So that's important to remember. The other thing that you want to remember, and I may have mentioned this in earlier videos, is that you need to pass both of these sections with an 80%. Now in the intermediate skills section, there's 16 questions, which means you have to pass at least 13 or more of those questions in order to meet that threshold. Same thing with the advanced skills, except that there's 14 questions in that section. Which means if in order to get 80% passed in that section, you only have to pass 12 or more questions in that. So one of the things you also want to remember too is that this is an open book test. You can have 2 different browsers open. It's usually recommended to have your main testing in incognito, and then you can have either another Chrome user to open the testing materials and that, whatever you have to do, but it's just remember it's open book. If you also took the VCons and have any of those trainings, notes and everything, you can open those PDFs in like Adobe or whatever, but just know that you're not going blind in here. You can have those notes available to you, and I advise that you do that. So anyway, with that said, let's go ahead and get started. What I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and open up this advanced skills area and just really quickly go through some of the things in here that you need to know. And basically this advanced skills area basically covers this new advanced features in the advanced level subscription. So all these areas are basically being covered because this training was never really included in the certification training before, so now it is. So you need to know all of these, and I'm going to go through quickly each area so that way you can know what to kind of focus on. But the first area is new training on managing transactions and batches, new training on using the Spreadsheet Sync feature, new training on using the custom report builder, new training on managing expense claims, new training on managing custom roles, the new revenue recognition feature, and the new estimate versus actual cost feature for projects. So let's go ahead and start with feature 1 or section 1 here. And with all the other trainings that I did, I went ahead and did an overview on the topics you need to know for this section. In this section on batch transactions, you're going to want to know how to use those. You want to also know how to batch create the invoices. You want to know how to batch import options with QuickBooks Online Advanced. And you want to also know how to use the batch transaction screen to import batches. And as you go through the training, and I'm not going to go through here, one thing that I will mention is that you want to know which of these you can do batch create, as well as which ones you can batch edit and batch other stuff that you can do. Some of these you can only create, and some of these you can do other things. So that's something I wanted to make sure I mentioned in here. But the rest of the stuff you're just going to go through and do all this training here. And I'm just going to quickly go through all this because I'm not going to have a whole lot of time to do this. This will be an extra long video. But just make sure you understand these areas. You're going to also want to go through these drop downs to understand when you're doing like importing data. You want to know how to deal with file formatting issues, the mapping, the number missing from rows, customer product or service missing, incorrect syntax, all this other stuff you want to know, so make sure you spend some time on that. So with that said, we're going to go to the second area under here, which is the Spreadsheet Sync feature. And again, the topics that you're going to be covering in here is setting up the Spreadsheet Sync, building a report in Excel using this tool, creating multi-company or consolidated reports, batch editing transactions. So as you go through the training, you want to make sure you go through and understand how to set that up, because you have to set that up in the beginning. And note that it only works with Excel Office 365. It won't work with any older Excel versions. Go through and click on the different topic headings here to understand how to do all this, and read through and take notes. Watch this video here to understand how to build the report in Excel with Spreadsheet Sync. Creating multi-company or consolidated reports, go through all this section here. Batch editing transactions, make sure you understand how to do that. Watch the video and look at the steps over here. And then understand these FAQs here. So you're going to click through each of these areas to understand who can access Spreadsheet Sync, what kind of reports can clients build, and what else can clients do from the Spreadsheet Sync tab in Excel. So make sure you understand all that. We're going to go back up here and go into the third area. And like I said, this is a quick overview. I'm not going to have time to do any major deep dives. So the custom report builder. You want to understand how to create a custom report and how to save that. And as you go through the training here, you're going to want to know how to do that, how to build it. Just go through the training, understand these things. You also want to understand the different report types and how they work and everything like that. You're going to go through all this different training and see what you need to know. Customization options. You want to click through all these different topics here to understand how to customize the header, using the customized panel, filtering and grouping the data, creating pivot tables, and using the chart view options. And anytime you see these ProVisor tips, make sure that you understand what they're saying, because you can be asked anything from those as well. And then once you create it, you want to know how to save it, and also these different examples of what you can do with them. It would be good to go through those deep dives to understand how to create those, because you might be quizzed on some of that stuff. All right, so let's go to the next section here, which is the fourth section. We're going to talk about managing expense claims, and the topics in here are the expense claim hub, setting up categories and fields for employees' expense submissions, inviting employees to submit expense claims, alternate role options for people submitting those, actually submitting those and reviewing them. So like I said, you're going to go through here. It's going to talk about the expense claims hub. And again, make sure you pay attention to the ProVisor tips. It's real important that you do that. You want to know how to set up the categories and fields for employees' expense submissions, and that'll take you through the different things you need to do. You want to go through each of these little tabs, click on editing the category options, and as well as enabling additional fields. You want to go through all that. Also, you want to know how to invite vendors and employees to submit claims. Watch the video and go through the step-by-steps. Alternate role options for people submitting claims. You want to understand all that and how all that works and stuff. And then submitting the actual claims, and then basically understand that there's two ways to create a claim, and then you can start submitting a claim from your computer, understand all that. and all these different details about the expense. You want to know how to do all that when you upload receipts and things. All right, reviewing expense claims. You want to know how to go in and review these to make sure that you either review, delete, or find a match, that kind of thing, and then match it whether it's a receipt or a bill, all that kind of stuff. And let's see, that's it for that section here. We're going to go back, go to the next section after that, and that would be managing custom roles. Custom roles is something that in QuickBooks Online Advanced you want to know a little bit more about that, and those topics are understanding those roles, how they're different from what's in QuickBooks Online other subscription levels, creating those roles and assigning and managing those roles. So you want to understand the different roles that you can create. They're a lot more granular than what's in QuickBooks Online, the other subscription levels. You want to understand how those works and understand them, and you can go through the provisor tips, how to create those. There's a video. You can go through the scrolling of the steps in here as well. Assigning and managing custom roles. You can also need to go through here. Understand how to change the role of an existing user, assigning a custom role to a new user, and managing custom roles. And one of the things that's real important for you to understand is that you can deactivate custom roles that are no longer needed, but you have to first unassign any user with that role before you can actually deactivate it. That's real important to understand. So anyway, custom roles for different client needs. Good to deep dive into these areas because you might get asked about these different things in here on the test. So, all right, so let's go back up to the next area. And that's the revenue recognition feature. So when we talk about the revenue recognition feature, we're going to go through the training. We're going to talk about it, enabling it, setting up the services with revenue recognition, creating an invoice or sales receipt with revenue recognition, and tracking the revenue recognition. And one of the things that when you actually go into creating invoices, you need to understand some of the limitations to doing that in here, but you have to understand how to enable it, because you have to enable it before you can use it. You have to know how to set up those services items, the product and services items. Watch the video and go through the steps here. Creating an invoice or sales receipt, and it talks about how some of the limitations you need to understand those types of things. And then tracking those, click on the different title on the headings here. I can't even get it out to read a little bit more about what you need to do for those. Okay, so you need to make sure that you understand all this. And let's see, we got one more section to do, and the final section is the new estimate versus actual cost feature for projects. So when we're talking about that, you need to know how to set up before adding the estimates to the projects, adding the actual estimate to a project, creating invoices from those estimates, adding costs to a project, and then tracking the estimates against the actual costs. So as we go through that, you have to understand you have to configure the projects and then configure the products and services items by clicking on these different tabs to learn more. And then you have to click on the tabs to learn how to create the estimate and filling it in. Okay, so you're going to go through all this training and understand all that. And then remember the provisor tips. You need to make sure you go through those and understand those. Then you're going to go over creating invoices from estimates and how that ties into this new feature here, and then understand what happens next when you do all that. So make sure you understand that area. And then adding cost to a project, you need to make sure you understand how to add the cost to the project and all the steps regarding that and all that, and what happens after that. Then tracking the estimates against the actual costs. You need to understand all the areas in here and what you need to do and what the reports show and everything. So that's basically it for this training. And like I said, you want to make sure, and one thing I forgot to mention at the beginning, you want to take each of these sections and sit through them at one sitting. You don't have to do the whole test in one sitting, but You can do the intermediate skills in one sitting and then the advanced skills in one sitting. But don't delay this too long, because you only have until June the 30th to get this done. So if you don't get this done by June the 30th, then you're going to miss out on being recertified. You'll have to take the test all over again. So make sure you get this done by then. And with that said, that's all I have for you. Y'all have a wonderful day. Take care. We will see you very, very soon.